Well, the top focus this evening, India's premier medical institutions have been facing a barrage of cyber attacks in the recent weeks. 2 weeks ago, hackers attacked the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. The servers at AIIMS are yet to be fully restored. Sources claim some online services are now up and running, but servers are yet to go online. Hospital authorities have been struggling with manual enrollment of patients, and they are unable to access patient records. What's also worrying is that the data may have been compromised at AIIMS, which is the hospital frequented by top political leaders in Delhi and neighbouring areas, including the Prime Minister. While an investigation into the AIIMS cyber attack is already underway, a government official told CNBC-TV18 the website of ICMR, India's premier medical research institute, was targeted 6,000 times in 24 hours. This official also claimed that the attacks were not successful. So how can we protect sensitive medical records at India's top medical institutions, and how do we thwart these cyber attacks? Before we discuss all of that, let me go across to my colleague Timsy Jaipuria, who has the details on the attempted hacking of the ICMR website. Timsy.
Well, that's right. What sources are indicating to us is the fact that apart from AIIMS, it was on November 30th itself when another cyber attack was detected on the ICMR website. Well, this was simultaneously as the attackers were hacking and trying to hack AIIMS system. They also tried to attack and hack ICMR's data. What we are given to understand is that NIC got an alert immediately on November 30th itself. The attackers were hacking ICMR website via a blacklisted IP address with traces from Hong Kong. NIC saw that the attackers had attacked almost 6,000 times in 24 hours itself when it comes to the ICMR website. And NIC got this alert and they alerted ICMR to immediately block the attacker. The NIC also asked ICMR to urgently update their security patches and firewall to protect the system, and because of which they were able to protect the ICMR's website.
Many thanks. As I was mentioning, in the Indian healthcare industry has been on the hackers' radar. Ashmit joins us now with more. Ashmit.
Well, it's nearly been 2 weeks since the cyber attack on AIIMS Delhi servers, and we're not much closer to an answer to the following questions: who, why, and how. Now, the cyber attack was mounted on AIIMS Delhi servers, both the main and the backup servers, on November 23rd. The problem was discovered when staff at AIIMS tried to log into the e-hospital application. Now, with chaos for patients and doctors alike, the services were moved to the manual mode. Important to establish what's at stake here. We're talking about medical profiles and records of nearly 4 crore patients. That's more than the population of Canada. The data that could be leaked is sensitive and consists of personally identifiable information. Moreover, AIIMS Delhi plays host to hundreds of senior political leaders, ministers, bureaucrats, and institutional heads for treatment. Data leaks compromising senior government functionaries could pose a national security risk. Investigations, meanwhile, are on in full swing. The likes of Delhi Police, CERT, Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, and even the MHA and the NIA are looking to resolve the issue. But here's where the developments turn even murkier. What is the intent behind the attack? Well, for one, the identified files, the infected files, have a message, and I quote here: "What happened? Your files are encrypted. What is the price to repair? The price depends on how fast you can pay us and receiving money, and we will send program and private keys to your IT department right now. Do not attempt to decrypt your data using third-party software. This may result in permanent data loss. Our program can repair all files in a few minutes, and all servers will work perfectly, same as before," unquote. So is this a case of ransomware? Well, on November 23rd, AIIMS had issued a statement suggesting that it may be a case of ransomware. Reports also seem to suggest that infected files have been encrypted by the attackers and that they are seeking payment in Bitcoin to unlock the files. The FIR has also been registered, also invokes Section 385, which pertains to extortion. However, on record, the investigating agencies are denying any ransom attempts or negotiation attempts. Initial assessments point towards several red flags, though. It would appear that no measures were deployed for securing systems. Certain findings indicate that there were not enough policies in place for as far as firewalls are concerned, and that most switches were unmanaged. But is this merely the tip of the iceberg? Well, just days after the AIIMS attacks, as many as 6,000 attacks were mounted in less than 24 hours on the ICMR. Attacks were unsuccessful and were managed by security systems. Now, security experts warn that with growing digitization, the frequency and severity of such attacks is only expected to grow, and that public digital assets and data could be most at risk.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. As Ashmit was pointing out, the key questions, who, how, why, remain unanswered. To take this discussion forward, we're now joined by Gulshan Rai, the former National Cybersecurity Coordinator and currently member of the Global Board of International Red Cross Centre. Also with us, Feixiang, the Adversary Intelligence Research Lead of Group IB, a cybersecurity company headquartered in Singapore. Mr. Rai, Feixiang, many thanks for joining us. Mr. Rai, let me address this question with you to start with. We have no information. It's almost 12 days now on what has transpired exactly, who could possibly be behind this and what is at stake. aiims denying, officials denying that there is any ransomware demand, any ransomware threat at this point in time. But if one, and my colleague Ashma just read out the quote that has come in along with those infected files, it seems very clear that there is a payment ask there. What do you make of the manner in which this has happened, and what do you believe is the need of the hour now, Mr. Rai?
No, I think what your colleague has read out is very, very clear, and I'm very certain about it. Today morning itself, I was in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and it's a ransomware attack. No doubt, the files have been encrypted there. But the solace is that the good point is that the entire data has been in a separate server. Somehow the attack could not reach there. The data is safe and data is being reloaded there. The machines are being changed. I saw some of the machine functioning there. Now, I think in a day or so, they will put it back for the online record there.
Mr. Rai, just 1 second, sir. But yes, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, because I just want to get clarity on what you told us. You said you were at aiims this morning. Now, what exactly has been compromised? You're saying that the data was in a separate server, so that is safe. It has not been compromised. So what exactly has been compromised then?
No, I did not say that data has not been compromised. I am saying that whatever data online is collected, there is a backup kept somewhere else. Somehow the attackers could not reach the backup servers there, and the backup data is being reloaded there. Whatever data it was encrypted, that data online is lost. But then they have not lost the data, because the data is there somewhere in the backup server there. That is what I said it there. But the main point is that the attack has been very, very serious. Most of the equipment now is damaged there. Yeah. There is no way that some of the equipment can be salvaged there. This is the exact position there. But I think the aiims is now trying to bring back the entire online operation. It may take 2-3 days. See, there are 10,000 systems connected on the network in the aiims there. You have to sanitize those, each and every personal computer, each and every device connected on the network. That is taking a time. Installing back data is there, putting the data back up is not an issue. But sanitizing those 10,000 devices that are connected, that is taking a larger time. And you cannot connect those 10,000 devices unless they are sanitized. Right. Because same thing will repeat once again there. Yeah. Somewhere that file, encrypted file, hacker file must be sitting there. So I think that precaution, what they have been doing it is with the correct process there. Sanitize the laptops or systems connected there, and then put the system on.
Mr. Rai, you said that there is a backup available, so the data is possibly retrievable and not lost forever. But the question is, the data that has been compromised, and as Ashmit was pointing out, aiims plays host to the top government officials, top ministers, bureaucrats, and of course, a large number of citizens of this country. You also confirmed that you believe that this is a ransomware attack. So what then? What exactly is the threat that we should be prepared for now that the hackers have access to confidential, sensitive medical data, medical information?
No, you see, may or may not be true also. First of all, I must tell you that aiims is a different kind of institutions which treats the VVIPs and senior politicians or senior bureaucrats there. There is a separate kind of systems for storing the data for those VVIPs, and that the hackers have not been able to reach that because they are not largely connected on the network there. Those systems are completely separate. So I'm telling with the conviction and telling is the correct thing. that the loss of data VVIP is not there. Now, the bigger question which you have raised it, that the data which has been encrypted, that maybe someone hacker can decrypt the data and put it on the dark web or dark net, which there the things comes there. May or may not be true. I have seen in my 12 years or 13 years of the sector, dealing the sector there, the hackers normally, even you pay the ransom, they are not able to give you the key, and then the data gets lost and the equipment gets lost also. This is by and large the position there. If any hacker is demanding ransom, there is no point in paying a ransom. There is no guarantee the things will come back. Now the question is whether they have encrypted there, the huge data is there, whether they will be open or they will not be able to open is a larger question there. But if they are open, they will find the darknet, and on the dark web there, that will find there. If they are not open, most probably mine says a large part of the data, they will not be able to open it.
Okay, well, that's a lot of, at this point in time, speculation. As you point out, we don't really have conclusive answers or conclusive evidence one way or the other. Feixiang, what do you make of what has transpired here in India at one of the topmost medical institutions, as well as the ransomware threat involved?
Well, in terms of the point of victims, it is such a unfortunate situation. Not only because the data is not available, but also the service disruption is also very costly. I would say that we do need to give the actual experts who are working actively and tirelessly on this case some time to solve the problem. And as Mr. Rai just pointed out, there are several mitigations that we can apply in the same time. Data backup definitely helps a lot. And in the meanwhile, since a lot of threat actors, they are financially driven, the end goal is to get money. So I do understand in certain pressure points, some of the victims do plan to pay. And as Mr. Rai rightfully pointed out, there is a certain percentage that the file decryption will fail as well. So it really depends on the situation. First of all, how valuable is the data? Some of the times, the victim choose to even just rebuild their systems from the ground. Or sometimes, if the data are ultimately valuable, unfortunately, certain amount of ransom were actually paid, but well, in the actual amount may differ from the initial asking. It is also worth noticing that to coerce the victim to pay the ransom, the attackers may adopt other tactics besides the pure data encryption. For example, also as Mr. Rao pointed out, they could threat to upload victims' planned sensitive data to a public space. Right. In our technical term, we call it data leakage sites. Usually they are hosted on the darknet or on the Tor circuit.
Right. Yes, that is a threat, and we will have to see whether, this is going to be something that gets taken forward or not. We certainly hope that it's not. But Mr. Rai, hope cannot be a strategy, sir. And so what I want to understand from you, in light of what we've seen happen at aims and now what's happened at ICMR as well, we're given to understand that ICMR has also been targeted. Does there need to be a concerted, coordinated response to look at, especially at this point in time, to look at the medical institutions? And can it be left to these institutions to deal with this individually? Do we need a central response at this point in time to ensure safety of data, to ensure that there are adequate safeguards in place, that these institutions are protected? Do we have a list of institutions that may perhaps be vulnerable, and hence cybersecurity needs to be stepped up?
You are right, absolutely right. I completely endorse what you have said. The attacks, cyber attack on the aims, certainly is a very, very serious and intensified attempt made by some terrorist or some attacker there. The idea with which the attack was launched, not to steal the data, but to create havoc and to damage the entire system. The chances are that so many utilities, your imaging systems, MRI or ultrasound or gamma knife camera, that system runs a very sophisticated systems in the aims there or in the hospital. They are all on the network. Luckily, that has been saved. I'm telling with the with the conviction and facts I'm telling, I'm accountable to what I'm saying that. They have been saved. But it poses a lot of serious question, as you said it, that the security we need to look at, review the security. What I can say that most of such institutions, they have a flat infrastructure. Once a hacker passes the entry point, then it is a completely free for them. We need to look at it. The country will have to look at it, or the institutions will have to look at it, the entire architecture, the entire steps, entire process there. And I think one of the great steps is that we need to put a process in the picture there. If we put a process, 50% of the issues will be resolved. But a great review and a serious review is needed. And I think Ministry of Health and the Government of India certainly will be charged up, and they will be looking to the security review of the cyber infrastructure of all the medical hospitals which are treating the public there. But that doesn't mean that we should not look at the other public institutions there. We have to look at the other institution.
Yes.
There is a case because the ransomware is something, it has gone by a factor of 4 in the last 2 years. That ransomware has gone up there. And I mean, such incident has created havoc worldwide. US pipeline case, which happened 2 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, 1/3 of the East Coast was shut down there. We are seeing the first incident of the ransomware in our country. But there is a need to review seriously, look at which are the gaps there and how do we plug those gaps so that the digitization doesn't suffer and the productive efficiency is not suffer, and we are able to enhance the resiliency of the entire infrastructure. I'm in complete agreement with you.
Right. And as you were pointing out, and the point that Feixiang was also making, this isn't just about the fact that data stands compromised. What it has effectively done is put AIIMS out of work, out of business for the past 12 days. Patients have suffered, and that has caused enormous amount of pain for families, for patients who've been waiting. And of course, as Mr. Rai points out, as per his information, he was at AIIMS this morning. Mr. Rai, you're saying that you expect within the next 2 to 3 days, the systems should start to come back up.
This is what the assurance has been given to me. I mean, I learned from them. Of course, I didn't go for official work. I went for some personal just to see that. But this assurance has been given to me. Right.
Mr. Rai, Feixiang, a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18 to take us through what you make of the attack on AIIMS and the threat to ICMR as well, which has, of course, been averted for now, and more importantly, what needs to be done to beef up data security across our medical institutions and, of course, other public utilities as well. Coming up next, the RBI's Monetary Policy Committee will announce its rate decision tomorrow. The street is factoring in a 35 basis point rate hike. That and more when we return.
CNBC-TV18, celebrating 23 years of business leadership.